Hi, I'm Effie. This is What Effie Reads, and today is just going to be a quick video talking about The Elemental Detectives by Patrice Lawrence. The Elemental Detectives is a middle grade fantasy novel that comes out on the 1st of September 2022, and it takes place in 1700s London, and we're following two characters, Marcy, who is the granddaughter of the Keeper of the Well, and Robert, a young boy who is indentured to a rich family in London. Their paths cross when a strange sleeping sickness starts to take over the city of London, and they have to work together to try and get to the bottom of it. I really enjoyed this book. I loved that it was middle grade, so although these dark and challenging things were happening, it always felt like a much gentler story, and the stakes felt lower, even though, you know, if they didn't get to the bottom of this sleeping sickness, people were gonna die. It still felt all soft and fuzzy and gave me all those great feelings that you get from a middle grade, and I just absolutely adored it for that reason. The other thing I really enjoyed about it was that it had really insightful social commentary. So the way this sleeping sickness worked was that when people went to sleep, they dreamt of the things that they were missing from their life. So if they went to sleep hungry, they found food. If they went to sleep cold, they found warmth, which was lovely. And then it evolved into people being able to see their dead loved ones in their dreams. And what I thought was really interesting was that this sleeping sickness disproportionately affected the poor and those that were indentured. It was a very clever way of going, well, these rich people aren't going to be affected because they have everything they need in their waking lives. I thought that was really interesting. I also loved that it didn't shy away from Robert's history. Like, he had been transported from Barbados. He was mistreated by his family, and he felt this conflict between doing what was right for London and what the antagonist of the story was trying to tell him was right. I did think that the magical system took a wee minute to kind of make sense to me, because in this story, as you might be able to tell from the title, the magic system is all around elements. So there's spirits for the different elements. So you've got the Magogs. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Obviously, I don't know how it's actually meant to be pronounced because there is no audiobook yet. I don't know if there is going to be an audiobook actually. But you've got the Magogs, which are the earth spirits, and they're kind of lumbering, deal with a lot of mud, etc. You've got the Fumis, which are the air wind spirits, and they speak in these high-pitched voices like wind chimes, and when they say their names, it just sounds like screeching, which I thought was a really clever touch. You also have the Chads, that are the water spirits, and they're all linked to different waterways in London, and there was some great commentary around the way that the waterways were being polluted, and that was affecting the health of the spirits. And then you also had the dragons, which were the fire elementals, and they were very dragony in that they kind of hoarded gold and they told riddles and stuff. And I think because all of these different spirits had like different names rather than just being called like air spirits, water spirits, etc. It did take me a minute to figure out who was who, but once I did, I just fell completely in love with this story. I think this is the kind of book that if you're a fan of things like Studio Ghibli, you're probably going to love. I was talking to B about this book, and he felt like there was a lot of comparisons with the way that Spirited Away works with the river spirits and whatnot. And I completely can see that. I don't know how inspired by Caribbean mythology this story is, but regardless, it's a really fun story. And I've just found out today when I was looking for the release date that this is the start of a series, and I'm definitely already itching to see where this series goes. I loved Maricy's just whole backstory. I want more from Maricy's grandmother, who isn't in this story for very much, but she just has this brilliant way about her and is just so smart, and I love her. I also am desperate to know what happens next with Robert, as I feel like the ending, absolutely beautiful ending, but also had me in tears, left it very open about what's going to happen next in his story. I just think this is just such a wholesome book, but I also love that it doesn't shy away from the social commentary. And I think this was exactly the book that I needed in this moment. The book that I finished just before this was When Our Worlds Collided, and that is such a hard-hitting book. Absolutely adored it as well. But I needed something a little bit lighter, and whilst this wasn't as fluffy as I expected it to be, with the fact that it was talking about the difference between the rich and the poor, and then you have like Robert's backstory that made it a lot more harder hitting than I expected, it always felt wholesome and lovely. I also really enjoyed that we had supernatural elements in the form of ghosts. They were really fun to see as well. And I'm just so excited to see where this series goes. And I just think this is going to be a book that people are absolutely going to adore. This is one of those middle grade that 100% is going to appeal across the board, because it is just such a fun magic system with two very good protagonists. I'm not really sure what else I can say about this beyond keep your eyes peeled for this, because it's coming out in September, and I think it has the potential to be the next big hit in terms of middle grades sweeping the bookish community. I am just absolutely in love with it, and I think everyone needs to pick up a copy. I genuinely don't know what else to say about this book beyond the fact that I really enjoyed it. But I'd love to know if this is a book that appeals to you, if you've got any questions about this book, because I'm sure I've not been the most descriptive in what this book is about, beyond just saying that I loved it. But let's have a conversation in the comments and recommend your favourite middle grade book for me. And I think that's it. If you want to see more of me talking about various books, please consider subscribing to my channel. Give this video a like if you enjoyed it. And until next time, bye!
There's a place